Today we are going to recount one of the most extraordinary miracles of the Old Testament. Joshua, led by faith and trust in God, orders the sun and the moon to stand still so that the Israelites can win a decisive battle. The incident we are recounting occurs around 1200 BC, when the Israelites, after 40 years of roaming in the wilderness of Sinai, are ultimately about to acquire the Promised Land as God assured them under the leadership of Joshua, but many inhabitants already occupied this land: the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Jebusites. Israel will have to engage in fierce battles to prevail. Among the Canaanite cities, the city of Gibeon stands out for its strength. Its residents, aware of the danger, devise rules pretending to be a distant people. They deceive Joshua and make him sign a peace treaty. Furious upon learning of the deceit, the Hebrew leader nevertheless decides to honor the pact. The Gibeonites thus become allies of Israel. This is not to the liking of the other Amorite kings, who form an alliance to punish the renegade city. This is when Gibeon calls on Joshua for aid. The die is cast. A decisive battle looms in which the chosen people must assert their supremacy over Canaan. Let's pause here and evaluate the numerical superiority of the enemy armies compared to Israel. That day, as Joshua and his army arrive to assist the city of Gibeon, the situation is extremely precarious for the people of Israel. Indeed, they confront a coalition of 5 formidable Amorite kings determined to subdue the city that has made peace with the Hebrew. The Bible tells us, particularly Joshua chapter 10, that the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon have allied against Gibeon. The combined forces constitute an imposing army with many seasoned soldiers, as well as chariots and horses, significant military assets for the time. For their part, Joshua and the Israelite warriors have just emerged from decades of wandering in the desert. They lack experience in the sedentary art of war practiced in Canaan. Moreover, not being equipped with chariots, they find themselves at a glaring disadvantage on this challenging terrain. It is estimated that the army of Israel did not exceed 20,000 men, while the Amorite troops were likely 2 to 3 times superior in number. Additionally, the Hebrew soldiers were on foot, while the enemy battalions had hundreds of chariots, formidable war machines at the time. The Amorite kings had also chosen a site offering a decisive tactical advantage: the valley of Ajalon, a narrow passage conducive to ambushes and difficult to access for an infantry army. Everything was in place for a complete military disaster for Israel. However, despite this immense numerical and strategic inferiority, the Israelites do not waver because their confidence lies in the strength of the Eternal rather than in the multitude of soldiers or chariots. Under the leadership of Joshua, they march confidently, assured that their God will fight for them if they remain faithful. This is why, militarily cornered, Joshua does not hesitate to seek divine intervention through a cosmic miracle. Lifting his eyes to the sky, he implores in Joshua chapter 10, verses 12 to 14, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, in the valley of Ajalon." So the sun stood still, and the moon halted till the people had vengeance upon their enemies. So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and did not hasten to go down for about a whole day. There has been no day like that before it or after it that the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Against all logical expectations, the plea is answered, and it is Israel who will ultimately secure a resounding victory. No numerical disadvantage is prohibitive when faith remains unshakable. Just envision this wonder: the sun and the moon, these celestial bodies which since time immemorial have performed their cosmic dance with perfect regularity, suddenly halted in their course by the voice of a man. What a remarkable demonstration of the power of God, who overturns the very laws of nature to respond to the plea of his faithful servant Joshua. The stakes are high. If the Hebrews triumph, the way to the Promised Land will be open to them. But in the event of defeat, the dream cherished for decades will be over. Sun, stand still over Gibeon, "And you, moon, in the valley of Ajalon." And miraculously, the sun and the moon halted their race across the firmament. Jewish tradition interprets this phenomenon as a cosmic miracle, with the celestial bodies actually immobilizing in the sky. The sun is even said to have withdrawn to prolong the day so that victory would be complete. In any case, the outcome is there. The enemies of Israel are defeated, and the road to the land of Canaan opens up to the Hebrews. The repercussions of this battle are decisive. The alliance of Amorite kings is shattered, paving the way for the conquest of the land of Canaan. Through this remarkable miracle, God reaffirms his support for his chosen people. The news spreads like wildfire, capturing minds. Henceforth, the reputation of the God of Israel precedes the Hebrew tribes. From an astronomical standpoint, rational explanations have been proposed. Some mention a prolonged solar eclipse intensified by moonlight reflection. Others, an extraordinary mirage or refraction of the sun's rays. But none entirely elucidates the phenomenon. Regardless of the physical reality of the marvel, the biblical narrative primarily highlights the theological significance. Through the supplication of his servant, God intervenes and alters the laws of nature for the triumph of his people. A splendid demonstration of power and love, foreshadowing centuries later the salvation offered to all in Jesus Christ. The remarkable incident of the sun standing still at the command of a man prompts us to inquire, who then was this Joshua that the Eternal would listen to his prayer in such a spectacular manner? What were the qualities of his relationship with God that garnered him such intimacy? The Bible provides valuable insights into the life of this man who walked so intimately with his Lord. Joshua is, above all, a paragon of faithfulness who closely accompanied Moses throughout his mission. Already during the Exodus, Joshua stands out as a courageous warrior guided by unwavering faith. Let us recall the battle against the Amalekites, when Joshua leads the troops into battle while Moses intercedes with arms raised on the mountain. Later, Joshua will be one of the 12 scouts sent to explore the Promised Land. While 10 of them see it as an unconquerable country, Joshua shows complete confidence in God's power. This spirit of faith will secure God's choice for him to lead his people to the conquest of Canaan. Even in old age, Joshua's spiritual vigor does not diminish. Before his passing, he ardently declares, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. What admirable devotion, what a life holy and consecrated to his God. Thus, throughout the years of wandering in the wilderness, a relationship of deep trust and intimacy is forged between Joshua and the Eternal. The servant knows how to recognize the voice of the master who speaks to him, and the Lord, for his part, sees in Joshua a man after his own heart, to whom he can entrust great responsibilities. So when the time comes to enter the Promised Land, it is quite natural that God gives the weighty task of leading Israel, succeeding Moses, to Joshua. The passing of the torch happens smoothly because Joshua is prepared. The Spirit rests on him to lead the fight of faith. Also, when the crucial battle against the coalition of Amorite kings arises, Joshua does not hesitate to rely directly on the Eternal, and his bold prayer is answered because his relationship with God is characterized by absolute confidence. I invite you to reflect on the lessons we can draw from this incredible story. First, it reminds us of the almighty power of our God. He who created the universe and the stars can also suspend their course at will. Nothing is impossible for the Eternal, and his plans are sometimes realized in surprising ways, overturning our certainties. Let us always keep this truth in mind. God is the master of his creation. Next, this miracle underscores the power of prayer and faith. When the hour of battle strikes, Joshua does not waver. He turns directly to God with a fervent prayer, and he is answered beyond all hope. What a lesson for us in adversity. Let us know how to turn to the Lord with confidence, for he listens to and answers the pleas of his children. Lastly, the sign granted to Joshua manifests God's love for his people. By granting victory to Israel, He opens the way to the promised land and long-awaited deliverance. God proves faithful to his promises and comes to the aid of his people at the decisive moment. What comfort to know that centuries later, he will also send his only Son to deliver humanity from sin and death.